Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Candid Conversations with Liz. As usual, I'm Liz, and I want to say welcome, 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 welcome. It's another beautiful day, and I'm happy you're here with us today. Please, before we move, pause, take a moment to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Okay, please subscribe to my channel, like, share this video. Okay, so many people are watching. I would, the ones that are not watching would like to hear one or two things that would, help them to change the narrative in their relationships. So please share this video. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so as I was saying, you're welcome to Candid Conversations with Liz. And today I have an amazing couple in their house. Firebrand. Yay! Yeah, and we're going to be talking about our discussion today is going to be centered around trauma, childhood trauma, and how to navigate it in our relationships and in our marriages. And I'm happy to introduce you to this wonderful, wonderful couple. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to meet you,
Glad to
sir.
be here. Thank you.
Please, can we meet you?
Okay, so I am Toyin Falaiye. I'm a lawyer. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I just do a whole lot of things,
Yeah,
and basically to impact my world.
beautiful. Sir, please, can we meet you?
Okay, Falaiye Samson is the name. I'm a civil engineer,
Oh.
and many other things attached. But let's stick with civil engineering.
Oh, great. My husband is a civil engineer, so it's okay.
Nice, nice.
Nice.
Mm.
So it's nice meeting you finally.
Yes.
We've been communicating on phone,
Mm.
WhatsApp, and all of that. But seeing you today, I'm so excited. I'm so
It's a
excited.
pleasure.
Yes. So in one word, what would you say marriage is to you? I like to ask this question because I get different answers, and some answers come off as, oh wow, really?
Okay.
Okay, so in one
Okay,
word.
first off, marriage for me is a decision.
Mm.
A decision to spend the rest of your life with someone that you are somewhat compatible with
Mm.
and to improve each other's lives until death do you part or Jesus
Yeah.
comes, like my husband would say.
So it's about improving each other.
It's about making a decision to be with somebody, improve their lives, and stick together until Jesus
I like
comes.
that. I like that. How about you, sir?
Marriage is a union of two nations.
Whoa.
Two nations, and then when nations unite, they are for different purposes: economic purpose, mutual purpose, social purpose, different purposes,
Mm.
and it's all for the benefits of each nation.
Mm.
Because if Nigeria unites with, say, England, for example, there are benefits that England will get, benefit Nigeria will get.
True.
There are some extensions Nigeria will get based on England's relationship with other nations, and there are some that England too will get based on Nigeria's relationship with other nations too.
True.
So marriage is a union of two nations or
Mm.
more.
I love that analogy.
Or more, are you the more is it polygamy
No,
or
like,
the children?
like
Oh yeah.
in the Western world, marriage is union between two people,
Mm.
the man and the woman,
Yeah.
as God has made it.
Yeah.
Until now that men have become.
Oh yeah. I get where you're going
Otherwise.
to.
But in Africa, marriage is a union between two nations.
Mm.
Because when a man marries a woman, depending on the culture, some cultures, the wife's sibling has to come to stay with
true.
them.
True.
Some, the wife's sibling has to come, you have to train.
True.
Some, the husband's siblings have to be with them for a period until after their first or second child. So it's a blend of cultures and the union of two nations.
Yeah, I always say
Teenager.
something that sometimes people think I'm married to you. It's just me and you. No, there's family
No,
involved.
in Africa it's different.
There's family,
Different ballgame.
definitely. Don't
He
even.
married a woman and his
Because-
family and her family.
Yeah, because in Africa, if you have a birthday celebration, everybody comes together.
Yeah, true.
You have, I know of a family where if my wife and I, we go out and see a loaf of bread that is nice, and we buy the loaf of bread, we tell our extended family, that's her family and my family, that we got this bread, it's very nice. So You can try that. We even buy samples to give to them.
Oh wow.
That's how they live. And then Abuja here.
Oh wow. That's
So anything they
interesting.
think that is nice, they share with their
That's so interesting.
family.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice analogy there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So topic of discourse here. Trauma. What would you say trauma is?
So trauma is painful experiences that you have and probably bottle them up for a very long time, which eventually overall affects your psychological, emotional, and mental well-being, even in adulthood. And it's usually not being defined as trauma when the events are occurring. Trauma can be grief, loss, rape, and so many other bad but majorly adverse experiences that one has, and the ripple effects thereafter.
Wow. That's deep. That's really deep. And to think that I don't know the statistics. I don't know if you have the statistics of traumatized.
Okay. Well, I don't have quite like I can say 3 out of 10, but because trauma is under the category of mental health,
Yeah.
right? And there are other aspects, there are other types of mental health
True.
Issues, right? So it will not be good to use the same statistics for mental health, which is general. But the truth of the matter is, averagely, 5 out of 10 people are dealing with trauma or have dealt with trauma in the past.
Is it something they know they're dealing with, or
Not absolutely. Like I say, when people are going through that pain or that adverse experience, they do not even know that it's trauma. Somebody grows up being neglected by the parents, living in a loveless home,
Yeah.
being abandoned, and they just think it's their norm until they grow up and see that it could have been
not normal.
different.
Yes.
This other family had it differently. And then somehow, somewhere, they've been traumatized by that experience. But at the time it was going on, they didn't identify it as a pain point until when they now behave in a certain way and like, why do you do this? Oh, well, in my home, our mommy and daddy greet each other with a hug every morning. While in the other home, the parents only wake up, everybody just eats and passes by each other. So those are things you soak in until it becomes full blown.
wow. Interesting. So do you have anything to add?
Well, if I would say, as every human being on earth has experienced trauma at one time or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
So-
human being, one time
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
So the question is, what the person understood trauma to be, and how the person handled it,
Handled, yeah.
it differed from the other person. Like experience is if for me walking down from in Abuja here, from the airport to the stadium, it can be a form of exercise for me. For somebody else, it's traumatic.
True.
How do you have to walk that distance? Now, me that I'm saying it's a form of exercise for me, along the line, it becomes traumatic. Yes, it's an exercise, but I feel some level of pain and discomfort that why do I have to go through all of this? But okay, it's an exercise, keeps you healthy, keep you that, okay. Now, the way I've analyzed it and I'm dealing with it makes it not sound like trauma, but like an activity the body needs to balance itself. For kids going to fetch water for their homes, they travel that long stretch. It's traumatic putting the bucket on your head, travel 2 kilometers to bring water home. But because they are with their friends and they are chatting all the way,
It
It becomes normal.
it becomes normal.
When there could have just been a tap right in front of the
It becomes
house.
normal. So everybody experiences it, but how a person handles it is
Or
based on how
interprets
he or she sees it. But that's just
Oh wow. Okay, so I'd like to direct this question to you, Belle.
Yeah.
So I've been following you online for a while, and I see you have a strong voice when it comes to trauma.
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask, is there a story to it? Like, how did you get to that point? Do you have a story to what you're currently doing now?
Yes. Okay. So I think I lived most part of my early lives in trauma. Like I literally grew up with trauma. And it wasn't just one kind of trauma. It wasn't two, it wasn't three, it wasn't four. And so my life was centered around trauma. Like I said, I didn't identify it as trauma at the time. I didn't identify the abuses I was going through, verbal, sexual, physical, psychological, emotional, as trauma. I just felt like, okay, I live in this home, and because they're not my biological parents, they treat me differently from their biological child. So it just became my truth or my reality, because I didn't like to use the word my truth. It just became my reality. And so even when the other child would tell me, I think my parents treat you differently than they treat me, I didn't see anything wrong in that, because I'm like, oh, yes, they're supposed to treat me differently. After all, I'm not
Their
their child. And so all of that. So I'm trauma informed to the point that because I have bonded with my trauma so much, and then it snowballed, into something that literally almost took my life. And before I even realized that I needed to heal, unlearn, like literally sit with the trauma, relieve the experiences, and begin a healing journey. So, so you can wake me up from sleep and I'll talk to you about trauma, any kind of trauma.
Wow. That must have been something.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on. I see all of that happened when you were much younger.
In my adolescence.
In your adolescence. Yeah. So how did you finally meet
Okay.
him?
So there were a lot of decisions that trauma made me take that I didn't even realize that I made those decisions from trauma. For instance, I got to a point in my life where I decided I was never going to get married, because trauma pushed me into. So trauma will mess you up literally to change the trajectory of your life, and it did mine, right? And so it also made me make some decisions like, oh, I'd never get married. Even the choice of course I went to read in the university was propelled by trauma, because I felt that, okay, if I go to school and read this particular course, I'll be able to sue this abuser of mine. So it altered everything. So I got to that point where I had gotten into relationships. I got into abusive relationships, even though they were not physically abusive, they were more emotionally abusive. And I thought it was normal, because that's where I'm coming from. People talking to you rudely, talking down at you, telling you will never be more than you are, because I was told as a child that I will never amount to anything. And so it was all of that making me make the decision never to get married. And so eventually when my husband came around or along, it wasn't like I had healed. As a matter of fact, I had not even identified that all of that pain point was trauma and how much it had messed up with my mental health. So it wasn't like I went into my marriage with my two eyes wide open, like, oh, I knew what I was doing. It's just that he came along at a point where I wasn't even searching. I had given up on love, actually.
Wow.
That this love thing is probably not for me. I don't even know how to express it, and I don't know how to receive it. So when he came along, what gave me the the temerity to go ahead with it was the fact that I just had this peace. This person just brought some sort of peace that I had never really experienced before. So I was like, okay, let's give it a try, right? So I always tell people that I didn't, there's this quote that they say, love the person you marry or marry the person you love. I wouldn't say I married the person I love, but I had to learn to love the person that I'm married, because then I just felt this is peace. Okay, let's give it a try. And he knew what he wanted from the word go. He knew, oh, I'm coming here to settle down. Once we're able to stick certain boxes that meets. And also I had my lists.
Of course.
And so he also met like 8 out of 10. So I was like, okay, good.
That's huge.
They start feeling cool now.
Yes,
Okay, let me reduce
Has
it.
she ever told you?
No, let's take it back to 6.
She said 8.
No. Let's rewind.
No,
Let's
we
rewind
can't
that.
She several times that 8 out of 10. I'm like, are you sure?
Let's take it back.
I know it wasn't 12 out of 10.
Oh,
Come on. I remember in the early years of our marriage, my husband would constantly ask me this question: why did you choose me? Why did you marry me? I don't know why he was asking that question. And me, I would just say it was a choice. And truly it was. It was a decision I made to stick with you, to marry you. And but it was just majorly because he brought peace. So it was in the marriage that the trauma came full blown.
Okay, well, just
Yes, let me pause it
there. So I was going to ask you, going to meet her, talking about marriage and all of that. Did you notice anything?
Well, as regards trauma.
As regards trauma, did you see anything? Was there a warning
there were no
signal or something?
There were no warning signs as regards trauma, but there were warnings as regards trauma. It wasn't really visible. I just noticed some things that, to me, I had a different interpretation of what those things meant, and then and then two of those things that I noticed then that I had different interpretation, they are still there till now. And I tried to.
Will you whisper them in my ears?
No.
I've tried to live with them. Then, in seeing that I'm trying to live with them, I discovered that I can't live with them, but I'm doing her justice. Because I can live with them and then she goes out and expresses them. The people see her in a different light. Because imagine you're my friend. Very good friend, you respect me, I respect you, are very good friend, all of that and love. And then one day you invite me to your house for an occasion. And then the morning discover that I get wet. Now that changes the narrative.
True.
All the respect you're like, so this billionaire friend of mine that so appreciate you bedwet. Jeez.
That was just an analogy.
No. Definitely.
I don't, of course. I know.
That's an analogy.
Yeah.
So those two things that I noticed that were like of concern, and they are still there. We are working on it. She's working on it, and hope that someday it's good. So that when you get to certain sphere, certain room, when you are in certain rooms or certain tables, and they don't tend to show up, so that the narrative does not change when Windows comes down. But for trauma, nothing really showed up. And then I had a different belief, a different perspective of things.
So you were in love with me from the very beginning.
So the truth is, we're all work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there is no one that is perfect. We all strive to be better versions of ourselves daily, and that's the intentionality.
Yes.
And then when you're married too, if you're married for the right reasons, you obviously would do everything possible to make sure that your union gets better.
Yeah.
And if you see something that is like threatening the peace and the love that you share, you always want to, do something about it. But how, as per your marriage, your union, has trauma affected communication in any way?
Oh, yes, in capital letters. Yes, in capital letters. Because like I said, even though I, growing up, I had gone through a lot of emotional issues, depression, I'd been suicidal a couple of times. I still did not know there was a lot of pain and trauma bottled in. So it was after my marriage that the trauma actually blew up right in my face. I would throw tantrums, I would act irrational. And so it was beginning to look like I was tired of the marriage. But the truth of the matter is that I actually had put a lot of weight on myself. I'm feeling like, is this marriage thing actually for me? Can I sustain a home? Can I?
Yes, I
began to second guess myself. I began to doubt myself. I had bonded with trauma so much that I felt that, you know what? I think I'm even putting this person in trauma by agreeing to marry him. I shouldn't have allowed this to happen. And so it drew a huge, I just realized that we were growing apart. That's the truth. That was in the first 4 years, we were growing apart. And an incident happened, and that was when I realized that, yes. And that day I'd actually made a mind that, okay, I think this marriage is actually finally over. And I knew that if it was going to end at that time, I'll take 70% of the blame, right? That was how much. But again, that was also where the healing began from. I think I've always been deep down somebody who wants to constantly be better, constantly improve on ourselves. But I had to also, first of all, get to the end of myself, knowing that there was a problem. Identify what the problem is or what the problems are, and then begin to look for solutions. And I think that's where I hold my husband a lot of, profound respect, because I feel he knew he might not have also been able to put a word on it like this, but I just need that, this is my wife.
It's something.
There's something that's just not adding up. Is she just always like this? Or because by the time I came public with my past, with being abused as a child, so somebody had always asked me, so did you hide it from your husband? No, I didn't think it was an information that was needed at the time. He just knew I didn't have a good relationship with my foster father, but I didn't go into details of what went wrong in my childhood. So he knew that much, but he didn't know the depth of it. But in marriage, because first time I went public with my story, I don't know why he had it, because he is the private person. He's the quiet one in the marriage. He's the one who wants to literally mind his business and keep his family very, protected. I'm the vocal one. I'm the one who wants to express. I'm the one who wants to. So when that opportunity came and somebody said, would you like to come and share? And I told her I would need to seek my husband's permission.
Like you told me.
I honestly didn't expect he would say, go ahead, because of the kind of person he is. And like, we're going to be out there. Like, the whole thing will blow up.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe there must have been something that he saw and felt, if this would help with your
Yeah,
healing.
because I was going to ask that question. That did you think talking about it would help her heal faster? Was that the reason you let her do it?
Well, let me come from this perspective.
Okay.
If you are a person that is IT inclined and you move to a new environment, one of the first things you locate is a hub, a cyber cafe, and where IT guys meet.
True.
They're a person that is book inclined. When you go to a new location, you would locate a library, a community, and things and places like that. Now, for me, looking at her experiences, the mood swings and all of it. Now, initially,
I have a one.
when the mood swing started, I was concerned. And later, I was like, this thing now, when the iron is hot, by the time they take light, the iron will go cold.
Go to cool down.
Then when it cools down, we'll not keep it where it should be. So initially, I was always concerned about what's up. And at the time, I was like, you are hot now. When you are calm, you cool down. So at some times, I don't ask, what are we eating? What are we drinking? I take care of myself and I just watch my TV, and then she's there for me and I'm like, we are done.
So you give her space.
I give her her space.
I shouldn't check
But,
it.
but you know that thing about giving space. I know men like to be given space. As much as a woman is, as much as it looks like she's asking for that space,
She wants the attention.
she wants the attention. I don't know how it happens, but I've not seen a woman that would say, I want to be alone, and then you leave her alone and she's happy.
I will still go back and say, why are you now? You're not talking to me.
No,
Why are you leaving me over myself?
Because I say you should leave me alone. You're leaving me alone. You're actually leaving
audacity to leave me alone.
No, there are different narratives to this. I won't say it
Why a
here.
handful?
No, there are different narratives to this. I won't say it here. So that nobody locates my handle and then begins to bombard my space. I'm someone that you decide to bombard my space with 1,000 messages, you can be there for the next 10 years. I won't say it. So even if I say what I want to say,
Please go ahead.
and guys come for me and bombard my space, you can be there for 10,000 years.
Please say it.
Okay, so she's giving you.
I won't say it. So apart from that, okay, saying
You're trying to be diplomatic
going back to
in this conversation.
going back to the initial question, that what did I see? I saw that she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then when she comes from one or two issues, one or two challenges, one or two happenings, one or two activities
From work.
from work, daily
just point.
activities, and then I somehow there's always a link to the mood swings and the trauma
And the frustration.
Now, I didn't see it as trauma then, and the frustration and all of it. So when she was going live with it, I sat there. The day she said, I just sat there, looked at her, I said, okay. I was trying to reject and say no. I was trying to find reasons to punch it and say no, because I, for one, I love my space. I love my quiet. I being in the open, nah.
This is like his first public
This is my
Oh,
first.
yeah, right.
Wow, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up.
I'm even still shocked that
Yay.
I mean, I'm still processing it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I like my. If we discuss that, let it be indoors, and then let it. What happens in Rome stays in Rome.
Yeah.
That's my style. But when she comes in, then when she would come in with all of her issues, and then trying to look for the loopholes, and I was like, why don't you just let her talk about it, and then talk about it, and just let it go. Let it go. It's like you're angry. Someone upsets you, all the person is really very bad, and then instead of bottling it up, just speak it out. When you speak it out, and you lose all the anger and all the energy, and you become weak. You now rest. When you're now re-energized, and look at the person that, why did I scream all that? So I said, okay, let her just pour it out, let it leave, and then others that have similar experiences can learn one or two things and then heal up. And that's why I like her.
So the truth is, I didn't know how much trauma had eaten me up, and I was bleeding on him.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the truth. And so when I went public with my story for the very first time, like literally shut down the entire studio because everybody said I didn't even also know how much pain I had bottled up for years, 23 years actually, before I came out with my story for the first time. It started when I was 10 and I bottled it up for till I was 33.
So you never told anybody?
At least not that I know of, except when it was happening and I shared with my childhood best friend at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, tell this person. I'm like, no, I cannot. And that was it. But going into university wasn't the conversations that I had with anybody. Like I said, we couldn't even put a name to it at that time. You couldn't say, okay. Because sometimes when I share my stories, people still look at me strangely, like, only you. It's always like, you went through too much. I'm not going into the depths of the stories because I want this to stay within relationship engagement. I don't want it to be about me, right? We're talking about marriage. But it was something that I didn't understand how much of it. So it was as though trauma had swallowed me up. I had no identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know what I was doing in my marriage. Do you understand? It was that bad. Like, if I got to a point that, okay, do I even want to have kids? Or will I be able to raise them? Will I be a good mother? I questioned everything. That's how much trauma I had. So at some point, I was also bleeding on him.
Yes.
And this was not a question of let's go see a counselor, because if I had gone to see a counselor 5 years ago, it wouldn't have helped, because I don't even know what I want to tell the counselor. I don't know what. So it was obvious that the silence was also killing me. So the first time I spoke publicly, then there was another time like that, and that's how it began to gain expression. Yeah. And in as much as it's not things I like to talk about, I found out that it wasn't just healing me, it was healing other people. Other people wanted to find out, how were you able to find yourself again? Yeah. How were you able to heal? How were you able to discover purpose from this pain? How were you able to navigate life? How were you able to even sustain the marriage that was all actually dropping? It was as if the egg was, marriage is like an egg actually, and it was just about to drop on the floor, and then both of you just say, no, we're savaging this and it's back up. Wow. And so it's a whole lot of learning experience. Wow. So I know that, it's been a bit diplomatic in answering some of the questions.
Yeah,
and that's because
I want to ask this. So I hear the part where she said that she didn't go into the nitty-gritty of everything while you were courting, but you knew there was something. She only gave you like the surface. Then she goes public with it, and I'm very sure you found so many things shocking. There were some revelations that you were like, really, this happened, and all of that. How were you able to process that? How were you able to deal with that level of, I don't know, trauma that your wife was dealing with? Because I'm just thinking, you needed to deal with that first, then you needed to find a way to accept it, and then you needed to find a way to support her through it.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult for me. It wasn't difficult. It may sound strange.
Yeah, it sounds strange.
That's the fact.
It does sound strange.
Growing up, we pick different accents, different habits different traits and all of it. And I remember an uncle of mine, a very good uncle, Uncle Falaiye, sometime when I was growing up, he said something. He said, always try to make difficult decisions in less than 5 minutes. I'm like, why do you say that? He said, Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory had a situation. He had to defend Chief Bola Ige of blessed memory in court. Preparing for the court proceedings, the boss mentioned to him that his first son just had an accident. That's traumatizing. Now he had a choice to decide. He had the decision to make either to go see the body of his child or go to the hospital or to go save his friend at the law court. He now said, that one is gone. If I go there, this one too will go. So let me save this one and come back to this.
Wow.
So that's how I
That
went
was
to
a
the court.
tough one.
Yes, to defend and all that. And then we heard the story of a man that a child was sick, had an accident, got to the hospital. The father was screaming, blah, 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 shouting on the nurse and all of them. And the doctor came about an hour later, and then he did the surgery. After the surgery, and the child survived, and then he stepped out, and the man was screaming at the doctor, "You this incompetent man, you just came and sluggish, you didn't say you're sorry, and then you're running out, blah, 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 blah." And then the nurse told him, that man left his son's funeral to come save your son. Now he's going back to the funeral. So, I said all that to say this. Growing up, I had seen different things. I grew up in Benin.
And you had also experienced your own trauma,
I had seen,
which he doesn't like to talk about.
I'd seen different families, different expressions, heard different true life stories, and all of it. And they all helped to, in
Shape
a way,
your
shape my
thought
thoughts,
process.
my perception of things. Like what was said of President Obama, that is multi-dimensional culture expressions and locations he lived
Okay.
are what helped him in answering questions and living the life that he lived before, during, and after became the American president. Because when you ask him a question, he answers it not just from the intellectual perspective, but also from the cultural perspective. Now, if you as a Nigerian ask an American how far, you'll be like, how far what? You never get it. If you ask a Nigerian how far, you'll be like, I did, but anything for the anything.
The boys,
yes.
yeah.
So looking at all of that, I was able to, and my past experiences, I was able to analyze the situation in like 5-10 minutes, and then.
But I remember very well. Sorry, because like I said, my husband is very heavily diplomatic, so I understand.
Yes,
I remember that the day I granted that interview. So immediately we finished. The studio. In fact, I really recorded the behind the scenes. I just kept saying, I need to call my husband, because I had the interview in Lagos. He was in Abuja. He was like, okay, and he was going to record live, and I was like, we're going live now. I knew he was not going to watch it. I knew.
But I watched it.
No, not all. So immediately we finished, I was just like, yes, okay. I said, I need to call my husband, because I was literally shaking. And so I called him. He was one that was saying, hang in there, I'm here. And I don't know, for me, if I needed it, I needed a validation.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know you don't know this much, and the world is hearing it before you.
That was what you needed to hear
And
from him.
I needed that validation. So when I called him and he said, yes, I watched it. He actually did. But I don't know why I'm feeling like he did watch everything. But he was like, hang in there, I got you. And it was such a huge relief.
It's like cold water.
It was like
poured
cold
on a
water
parched
being poured on
ground.
me.
Yes.
And because I felt that, okay, now you will understand
Certain things.
some things I have done that, yes. But I know that in processing trauma, really, the other person too, no matter how close they are to you, can still not, because you're the one who went through it. I can't feel what you feel. I can't feel what he feels. I can only offer support and
empathy,
assurance and empathy, to you, and say, okay, I can relate, or you'll be fine, but we really cannot. Even me, I still cannot. Sometimes, like, how? I think it's just the strength of God and the grace of God. But trauma, it's just a lot to
So
process.
what are the strategies you employed in your healing process? Because, like you said, your story, I've not heard
The full version, yes, and
of the
and I'm
story.
avoiding telling it.
And I hope I get to hear it
Yeah.
because it sounds like it's going to be really inspiring and would really help people out there. But I'm just thinking, what strategies were in place to help you come out of it, as in the healing process?
So
How
I'm
were you
still.
able to navigate?
I always
all
say
of
like
that?
I'm still on a healing journey. I feel like healing takes, I mean, like I said, 23 years of pain. You can't heal in one day
No,
or 2 days or 2 years.
definitely.
But the way I started off was, like I said, after that interview, I had to sit down with myself and tell myself certain truths. Truths like it wasn't your fault. There was nothing you could have done to change the environment you grew up in and the people that raised you and the things that were done to you and with you. I had to accept that truth. I had to tell myself that truth. It wasn't your fault. I had to forgive myself.
Yeah, very
I had
important.
come to hate myself. I had come to, oh, this is why you will never do well. They told you will never do well. So why do you think you will ever? I had, allowed the words that were spoken to me to sit. So I had to unlearn that and forgive myself. I reached out to a couple of therapists and I couldn't go through with therapy because they were expensive. I even reached out to one outside the country where by the time they gave me the bill. And so then the few ones in Nigeria, of course, you do 5 sessions, these are the prices. And I understand why it can be that expensive. But I also began to reach out to a few people who I feel I could talk to. Sometimes they just allow me vent. I'm tired. I'm weak. I'm not feeling any emotions. I don't feel like going out of my room today. There was a particular day my husband went to work ahead of me and I stayed in the house and I put out all the light, rolled down all the curtains and stayed in that dark room for about 4 hours. And he calls me and he says, "How are you?" I say, "I'm fine. Where are you?" I said, "I'm in the office." I was at home. So, but those were times I was actually talking to myself. And so I had therapists in a few friends who I'll just call and vent. I know they won't offer me any solution per se, but I just feel like this heavy load go off after I vent to them. And then it got to the point where I also began to seek God. I really cannot take that part out. I know I always avoid saying that my healing has a high level of supernatural in it than physical. Like I said, I can't tell you these are therapy houses that I went to. Of course, like I said, I spoke to a few therapists, but I didn't go through sessions. But I think it got to a point where God just stepped in.
Yeah.
And so he said, "This is my girl. I won't let you drown in this pain. There is purpose in it. Find the purpose." So I would go. It will look like I'm healing. I'll come back.
It's a process.
So it's a process. So that's how it started. First, telling myself the truth, accepting that it was not my fault, forgiving myself, talking to people, and seeking God. Those were the major factors that helped.
Oh, great. Wait, okay, so while she was talking the other time, she dropped a little something saying that you also had your own fair share of trauma. I picked that.
Am I putting you on this spot?
I picked that.
And where you should pick it from is the fact that he said everybody has trauma.
A bit of trauma. So I of course, everybody has a bit of trauma.
Yeah.
Myself too,
Okay.
Yeah.
If I talk to that, I'll still refer to my initial analogy. A child goes to fetch water 2 kilometers away. Because he goes alone, he's not happy. But she is not happy. They have to walk alone. But when he or she walks with age mates and friends to fetch the water, it's an interesting journey. But it's traumatic. But they don't see it as trauma. They see it as childhood activities to grow up, to become strong, to bond. So
that was your coping mechanism.
Okay.
Different coping mechanisms. But and I think the truth is that for me, one major reason I never saw it as trauma was the fact that I grew up in a Christian home. Not a Christian home as in father, mother, Christian. No. I was exposed to the things of the kingdom, God's kingdom, at an early age too. Okay, I'll give you. I went to children's. I was brought up in Church of God Mission Benin.
Okay.
Yeah. Church as a kid, as a boy, from age 3 upwards. And then I also was in the children's class, children's church. Now, there are times that you have some things that are bothering you, and you get to church, and the teacher teaches you one or two things, and then it overrides in a better way what you'd experienced. Like and you take these experiences, you imbibe them,
Yeah.
and you want to go try them out. Okay, I'll give you two instances. First was I went to class that's Wednesday evening, and the teacher was a Ghanaian. She said they lived in a house, I think a month earlier or so, and that the person who there was not really nice to them. And there were three of them. They came back home that day and they gave them one small labor.
Oh.
So they now prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and they were increased.
Wow.
And they ate and they couldn't finish it. I was like, is this true? Okay, let's give it a try. So I got home, and then on Sunday back from church, my aunt I was living with gave me a normal portion of rice, jollof rice, with all the condiments in it and everything. And the onions I never liked, but I only took
Yeah,
out.
he doesn't like onions.
And
To
then-
date.
And I looked at it, let us try what this teacher taught us. And I prayed and prayed. And auntie was looking at me, like, what's this guy doing? I prayed and prayed. I looked at the rice. It was still the same value. You see the same size. I prayed and prayed, same size. Prayed and prayed, saying, this man is lying.
Oh yes, that's what.
And
you
then I started eating. I'd not taken up to 5 spoons, and I was full.
that's it.
And I told my auntie, I'm full. She said, you are full? Are you okay? Who will eat the remaining? My friend eats it. I said, I'm full. Say, how? This is the food you normally consume on a normal day and ask for more. And you didn't take up to 1/4 and you say you are full. So that experience made me like, oh, so what she said is true. And then some other time, about the outside then will teach us that the name of Jesus is a strong name that can change things, can handle things. And then immediately the night, armed robbers come into our house and then hold everybody ransom, except me on the bed. And I wake up and I see everybody running left and right, front and back. I'm like, what's happening? And I run to the end of the house, back of the house, and I see armed robbers in the living room with guns and everything. And I stare at all of them and I say in the name of Jesus. And everybody froze.
How old were you then?
I was like 5, I think.
Are you serious?
Like 5, I think. 5, 6, thereabout. 5, thereabout. And everybody froze. And when they froze, it took them a few seconds to recover themselves, to come to themselves. And they're like, Mister, hold your son or we'll shoot him. And I was like, no, shoot who? Now, that confidence has been built in me.
Yeah.
So you see, when challenges, trauma, all the rest comes, there's like it's like you
shock
have
absorbers.
a shock absorber. You have a
Coping
sea,
mechanisms.
a sea of
Okay. Yeah.
water. And when you pour in any chemical, it dilutes it. Pour in any poison or whatever, it dilutes and makes it just no. I think that was my
Wow.
Wow.
my coping is it coping mechanism or my healing mechanism.
That you applied even up
Applied.
until so unlike us that didn't have templates. Life was just doing us basketballs.
Wow.
You know. And that's a huge difference
Yeah.
because in fact I wasn't even, like I said, I didn't grow up with my parents. I left them when I was 7. I came to live with my foster mother. I was excited leaving village and becoming a city girl. 3 years down the line, I was raped as a 10-year-old. I didn't even understand what it meant. 2 years down the line, my foster father begins to molest me. I didn't understand all of that. They stopped me from even going to church or being, living as a Christian. So it's a lot that was going on right there. And I had no blueprints. I had no shock absorber. I had no coping mechanism. In fact, it brought more trauma because I felt my father came to dump me.
Yeah.
So I felt abandoned. I felt neglected. I felt unloved. Those were some of the other side, effects of the main trauma now, the main pain points going on. So I think he's right when he says, and that's why they say, a lot of the factors that affect us in our adult life, your environment, childhood experiences, the kind of parents
Funny
that
enough,
raised you.
She left home at 5. I left home at 3.
But you left home and went to another home. I left home and went
away
to
from home.
Yeah, I left home and
My
went to
uncle.
live in a house.
So you went to a place where you were loved.
I was saying my uncle.
Absolutely.
My uncle. And
Absolutely.
So it's different from a
Very
place where
different.
they just drop
Very
you there
Very
and you don't even know why you were there in the first
Very
place.
different. Very
Yes. So in all of this, after marriage, did trauma have a way of disrupting things in the other room?
Even- say the truth and let the devil be ashamed.
It depends on how you see it. I think let her take a go. Let me hear her own side first.
That's why I said the truth and let the devil be ashamed.
Let me hear her own side.
So I think yes, it does. And especially since I was coming from a background of sexual abuse.
Yeah, that's what
I was exposed to
yeah.
sex early.
Yeah.
He grew up Christian. In fact, while we were in a relationship, he was the no sex in the relationship. He was the one who set that rule, you know. So I was exposed. I knew what this was. So when we got married, my libido was higher. Truth.
It's expected.
It was higher. And I'm sure the man would have been wondering, like, madam.
How far?
You know, and then I also observed at some point when trauma started setting in, we couldn't also find the balance. So it was like he would want it, I wouldn't want it. Or like I just want to. And then that was as we're going apart. Because I would rather send a text message to my ex-boyfriend and chat with him while so it was a lot. There was a lot that went on around that time. You know, so he would see my phone and see that. And I'm sure it became an issue. It was always like, what's going on here? This and me too. It wasn't like I understand because this person I'm even chatting with, one, we will not even see. Two, it's not something that's going to ever happen. This person is married with his children. But I just found solace in a third party, just confiding in them. And it was just drawing us apart as a couple. So, of course, the other room suffered greatly for that until we again, I think it was in the 5th year, because this happened between our 3rd and 5th year. And then it was in the 5th year again we began to communicate about these things. Because like I said, my husband is very quiet. He will not want to talk. I'm the one who wants, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it. Let's have this conversation. Let's communicate about this particular, like, no, it's nothing, I'm fine. I said, no, you're not fine. You just found out something. It's not sitting well with you. And what I'm also doing that, this is not me. And so it was that 5th year we began to find balance and began to work. And then that was around me that, okay, the other room can be spicy. And then we got the balance.
Spice it up. So, can we hear from you?
So say the truth and let the devil be ashamed.
Sir, please, let's not give analogies for this one. Let's just go
straight to the point.
Let's hit it.
I heard Michael Jackson say something.
He has to go that route.
It's the way I was better. They asked him about his music. He said, the lyrics are the most important part of the music. What people hear initially is the beat. He said, as soon as you hear the beat and you hear the lyrics, the more of the song you sing, the more of the lyrics you confess, you begin to become the music.
Okay.
It becomes your reality. I don't want to go that way. There's a song that people sang and they're like, if your angel brings something and you sing that song and your angel doesn't see you, you're on your own. I don't want to go there. So now for me, I see that words have power.
Yeah.
Words are not just things we say. Words are a force. They're a creation. I once said, and usually was asked a question, that how do Jews see words and how do they talk? And he said, to every Jew, every word they say is important because it carries power and the creative ability. He said, there's this word that they talk about, abracadabra, that magicians use. He said, the real phrase is abracadabra. That is, I speak, I create. I speak, I create. So when I see those things, and I'm like, if I say this, when we are growing up, Yoruba, they tell you, do not say anything anyhow because when the angels are passing.
Yeah.
And when you now say it, the angels now hear, they now carry it, and then you're not in trouble. So those thoughts and all of it are part of my growing up things. So when things happen, I'm like, instead of giving it a voice,
and that doesn't sit well with me.
Like Pastor Chris,
let's talk about it.
Pastor Chris will say, you say, engratia, let it stay inside. Then when things have died and things are now calm, and you cannot speak life, then we can now talk about it. This, and then we talk, because if we talk about it there and then,
he says it will snowball into
what
You
will
know,
happen?
I disagree with that.
What will happen will be worse than what Samson did when they attacked him. Like now tied the tails of seven foxes and sent them into their field.
I disagree because we still
Because
dealing with that.
the conflagration that will happen will be too huge to quench.
Yeah.
So, like they say in marriage that one has to be hot-headed, one has to be calm.
So who is the
One has to be wise, one has to be foolish.
Isn't it obvious?
Yes. Now, the thing is, there are times that the father is hard and the mom is calm. And there are times that the mom is hard and the dad is calm. It creates
a balance.
That balance. So when things like that happen, I'm like, okay, you're in your...
But you were hurting.
You're in your... Wait now. You're in your like fella will say, you're in your spiritual underground. Let me maintain my spiritual overground.
Oh, wow.
So when you're out of your underground and you come to the overground, we will now meet and discuss. Yes, I was hurting, but I didn't have to give it a voice. I didn't have to give those situations life. Because talking about it then was giving it life.
So how did you deal with it?
I prayed. I prayed. She may not have to agree, but most of the things she's experiencing now were as a result of the prayers prayed then.
No, I absolutely agree. I give it to you.
I prayed.
Because in the early years of marriage, it got to the point that I didn't want to go to church. I thought God didn't love me anymore. And I would wake up in the middle of the night. I'll say this is my prayer.
I prayed.
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And I'm like,
I prayed. So I think that was my...
I think, yeah.
That was one part of my secrets. I prayed. I prayed. And God did hear. God did answer. And then she's here today.
Because I remember waking up one morning and saying everybody should be, let's go our separate ways. I can't forget that incident. I just woke up and I said, can we end this marriage? Like, can we go our separate ways? I went to the point that, okay, we have 2 rooms. So you clear out one room, I clear out the other room. And we split the settings in the living room. And he was just looking at me, I was just smiling. I'm like, I'm not joking with you. Like, this marriage is over. Like, I announced it. Just looked at me, smiled, shook his head, and walked away.
I didn't give it away.
So that's you. That was you understanding who your wife is or was at that moment.
It wasn't me understanding who she was at that moment. It was God's spirit
helping you to understand.
helping me
To stay calm.
stay calm.
Okay.
Because there are days are like
there was a lot.
when
There was a lot.
she will say or do things and I'll stare at her. And I'll be like, do you want me to sing that song? Let the lion roar. And then inside out here, like, calm down. I say, shut up. Go inside. Bath and walk out. I just go and take my bath, walk out. I just take something and then I'll stroll. And when I stroll, there was one night that something happened. That one, I forgotten what happened. It happened so bad. I felt even now.
Is it the one I wrote about in the book?
No.
You're still feeling it?
No. I felt so bad. I now took a stroll. Imagine you say you have to take a stroll and now walk from here to City Gate and walk back.
Huh?
Just to calm down.
Did you know? Did you know how much time had passed? Did you know you were walking towards...
That's trauma. He was dealing with a trauma.
The idea was if I respond in this manner, it will be disastrous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I had to take a walk, just talking to myself.
And you walked.
I walked. By the time I came back, I said my idea is to just walk. When I come back, I'm tired.
Shower and...
I enter, shower, and sleep. When I came back and saw her the way she was, I think on my way back, I bought something for her. I bought something for her.
You're such a good man.
No, please. I need to say this publicly. My husband is a good man in capital letters. I give it to him. Forget that he's not saying a lot of things because, okay, so I'm the one who, and I want to say this openly because sometimes my husband, I'm sure he's always wondering, must you say this one? Must you not say this one? But I know I heard God clearly saying, your vulnerability is your superpower. I want you to tell it as it is because it will liberate you and it will liberate others. So I try, of course, I know there are things I won't say, even if you put a gun to my throat. But there are some I'll share because, like I was saying, I was wondering the night he walked away, whether it's the night, because there's one that happened, I put that one in the book. It's in my memoir because that night I thought the marriage was actually over. This one, I was chatting, like I said, with an ex-boyfriend, and then he saw it. And he picks up his phone and calls the ex-boyfriend and said, you know what? Maybe I married the wrong wife. So since both of you still have something for each other, tomorrow morning I'll put her on the next available flight to Lagos so that you both can continue
You actually said that?
your love affair.
Oh, wow.
And this is somebody I've not seen, this person I'm chatting with, I've not seen him in years.
He's also married.
And he's married with children. But you know, like I said, at that point, so now there's a part of trauma we're not talking about, and that's trauma of loss and grief. Now, in that season where we had grown that wide apart, I had just lost my foster mom. 6 months later, his mom passed. 6 months later, his dad passed. 6 months later, we lost our unborn child, ruptured vertebrae. So there was a lot going on, and he was trying to comfort me. I didn't even know how to comfort him, because me, I was traumatized. We've been expecting for like 2 years plus, and this happened. Baby ruptured. I literally died on the theater table. So after that incident, we didn't know how to console. So I knew the way he was coping with that trauma of back-to-back loss. He would leave the house very early and go to sites and come back very late. And then I was feeling neglected.
Neglected, yes. Neglected.
And then out of the blues, this ex that I've not spoken to in years just pops up on my timeline saying, hey, how are you? Just checking on you. You mean there's somebody somewhere that can check on me? And that's how that chat started. And then he comes back that night. This somebody who has not been, our talk has gone to, hello, hi, welcome. Your food is on the dining table. Good night. And then he just picks up my tab and is like, and then the chat pops up again. And everything just blew up in my face. And that day, I just felt that the only thing that was working in my life, which was my marriage, was about to end. And so I'm wondering, was that the night you walked all the way to City Gate? Not that one. I've done another bad thing. I took it to oh my God.
You know,
because on this particular day, and this was where my respect for my husband doubled. He drops the tab where he saw the tab, which is my tab. He drops it. Picks up his phone that is 4 times the value of the tab. His own phone. He's angry, right? Vividly angry. Bloodshot. That's the first time I saw his eyes change. And he smashed his phone. His own phone. He didn't smash the tab where the crime was committed, though. Smashed his phone on the wall. Hit his fist. But we still have pain in that hand till date. He tells me so. Smashed his fist on the wall. Because he said, I would never hit you. So I get in the rage. He just hit the wall. And smashed his phone. That phone, I kept it. I said, I'll tell my children that story. You know. And for me, that was the night I took sniper. I was going to end
You
it.
did what?
Oh, yes. So you read all of that in my book. Let's not go. But like I said, this marriage is standing because of, number one, first, God. But I also think because God loved me so much and gave me a man that I knew would be able to help him manage me while going through my cycle of trauma. So I give it up to you, Mr. Fowles. You know, I've never publicly celebrated you, so I'm doing that today.
There's no ice cream, no flour.
When we get home, I only do
That
that.
one's in the other room. It's
No, there should be public ice cream
public.
too to show. There's ice cream.
But it's good to know that there are couples or husbands or wives out there who support
Yeah.
their spouses through trauma. Trauma is a big deal.
Yeah.
And we don't even talk about it enough.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on with children, especially because children are very vulnerable. They don't even know what they are doing to them, And I hear this a lot, that an abuser is probably not far from where you live. Like, it's within, might just even be under your roof.
It's under your nose. The roof is far.
Okay.
It's always under your nose. Always.
So I'm trying to understand this level of emotional, psychological,
Sexual,
verbal, everything in one person.
Yeah.
And here you are standing strong, and you've been able to build a ministry by the help of God from it. How did you know that you were meant to start this?
Okay. So like I said, towards the end of 2018, when that, so So that was so the suicide attempt in 2018 was twice. So the snipe and so honestly, I've not been loving you enough. So after the sniper, he was angry. Like I said, he had hit his hand on the wall and all. He was angry, and I took the sniper at the dead. It wasn't like I took it immediately. It was around 1 a.m. He had gone to lay down. I just went into, and I heard a voice. I heard a voice say, "Go into your bedroom. There's a sniper by your bedroom window. Take it and
It
just."
was meant to kill mosquitoes as
I didn't
know. Of course.
because I didn't even know there was a sniper in my
that.
house. That's the truth. In fact, when I went to pick it, they had gathered dust. So he must have kept it there for I don't know how long. And so I picked it and I come out of the bathroom and he's the one he's still angry. And he says, "Put on the light." I put it on. He said, "What are you holding?" I said, "Nothing." He said, he's still angry. And then I run into the other room. I banged the door and he began to open it. And he ran after me. And we began to struggle with the sniper. And, I had inhaled it. In fact, according to him, because I didn't know what happened afterwards, he was literally shaking me and said, have you swallowed it? Because I was on my way. I had ingested it because I had opened it before he took it off my hand. So I guess I had spilled on my hand and then had ingested it. But what I'm saying is that who says another man could have just said, "Just Kuku man die, you have Kuku be frustrating me in this marriage. So just go, let me remarry and move on." He was the one who saved me that night. And I heard around after 2 hours of him giving me honey, water, palm oil. He used all the first aids that he knew to use. And I came back to, I'm trying to remember the word he said, but I think I put it in the book. But I heard him say, "I love you" in that dying moment. I heard very faintly, "I love you." And I think it was the next morning he was telling me, "I would never hit you no matter how much you hurt me." Now. But me, like I said, this trauma thing was still chasing me. Kill yourself. So 4 months down the line in July.
That was a village people.
Okay, there's no village people anywhere. He's always saying there's village people. There's no village people.
It was a village people.
It was trauma.
The trauma was a village people.
So in July, I was on a second suicide mission, which is my fourth. But that was the second in a short while. This one, he had gone to work. This one was pre-planned. He had gone to work, so I switched up my phone and I said, "Okay, I'll go to the express and walk into a moving vehicle." So that was the plan. Now, that also failed because somebody pulled me off the road. The man, it's all in the book. And I just got back home and I wept so badly. And I said, "God, I want to die." And I heard clearly, there's a purpose in your pain. Find it. That's how this whole journey of finding the purpose, of healing, of becoming whole, because there's more to healing. If you read even in the Bible, Jesus would say, "Go, for your faith has made you whole," even after he has healed them. So I always tell people that healing is not enough. You can heal and not become whole. You need to become whole and then you find purpose. So I knew that to have gone through depression, suicidal attempts, child sexual abuse, miscarriages, all that life was throwing at me, loss, grief, losing my parents early, having to be burdened with taking care of, I knew there was purpose in it. And I began to discover the purpose. So that's how I got here. It wasn't overnight. And that's why I said I'll credit most of my healing journey to supernatural encounters. Supernatural. I can't just say, "Oh, I went to one coaching school, one therapist said." No, it was God speaking to me directly. I heard him clearly and I began the journey. And that's how I'm here today. And now I understand that everything that happened to me was for a purpose, to fulfill God's purpose, to fulfill God's will, to help other people heal. And that's why I take it very seriously. I do not joke with it. My husband will tell you, if my wife is on a sick bed and she's dying, tell her they raped a girl. She will, she said that's the only, she will get well because she will get up and say, "Where? We are going there. Call the police." So it's a purpose for me. That's
something you live for.
Yeah. I don't want to see other people go through the things that I went through.
That's so, wow. Interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, what can I say? Sorry, I forgot you people. I'm so sorry.
We're sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things. Trauma is a big deal. It's something that we need to look into. We all have our own fair share of trauma. It might not be as much, but certain things make us behave in certain ways. So we need to introspect and begin to check those things, our behaviors, the patterns, and everything, and see how we can become better in life, because it affects marriage, it affects our relationships, and all of that. I like, you need to come back.
And one of the things that sustained our marriage is that he knew God earlier than I did.
Yes. So there's always that
There was the
God,
God-
factor.
oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ours
There's
is a
always
God
that
story.
God factor. There's always that God factor. I want to ask, do you have kids?
Yeah. Don't we have kids? We have them. We trust. We received them by faith.
Yeah. Amen. And they are coming in multiple folds by the grace of God.
Amen.
So I don't know about you, but like, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say.
But
you
I
so
just
much.
want to put this out there that
Yeah,
how
last
people
words.
how people can overcome trauma, especially, and maintain their marriage. You need to communicate. You need to be kind to your partner. Support them through their phases of pain. Understand them, communicate with them, and be kind to them in that season.
Empathy.
Yes, empathy is something you must have. And let God just be the head of your home. I don't think my marriage would still be standing today if we didn't have God at the center. Even in my confused years before we got married, we just knew that it was a God ordained marriage. That's the truth. Like I said, I found peace when I met him, and I knew that, and I'm glad that I picked him over, the other people that did not stay. They are lost.
Yes, he gained some. Oh wow! So, do you have any last words?
For me, the thing is, it's not one size fits all. It's not one rule works for everybody. What works for me may not work for you, may work for somebody else. But there are some pointers in between that are general to everybody. That's communication, companionship, and then expression. I want to say, have a community. When I say community, have a family. Have a family. What you saying in Africa is that no matter how bad a child does, the family does not throw the child away. Or another one, they say, touch a madman and you know he has family. So the thing is, you need to have, first of all, you need to have God. Then your spouse. And you need to have a family. A family in the sense that what we discuss here stays here, does not go out of here, and then we tell ourselves the truth. Not someone that, have you heard? No. That's not a family. Family is, you messed up.
Sure.
Outside there we say, no, he didn't mess up, he's good, he's that. You can't say, someone messed up, blah, blah, they fight for you. And when you now come in, as you are slamming the door, as in Africa we do, one slap to the left, one to the right, one punch, one kick, to now say, guy, you messed up. Now, these are how you messed up. These are how you can fix it. And then they step out of the room and say, hey, guys, still here? My guy didn't mess up, so go and fix yourself. But they've told you the truth, they've handled it, they've dealt with it, and they've resolved whatever issues were there. So that will help. And then you can find a family in church.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. You may find it at work, but I don't advise it. I don't advise it. You may find it amongst your
neighbors. Remember, it was neighbor that helps me in our own time.
Yes, your neighbor, your good neighbors, your good neighbors. When you see them, you know them.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, I say,
Friends.
if you shake somebody for the first time, you should be able to tell how long your friendship will last.
Really?
Oh wow!
From the handshake.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
depends on
So, but I think it's true. If you hug someone for the first time, there's the spirit. You would know how long.
Okay,
that
let me put it
is.
this
So
way.
maybe the man is, it's handshake.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
If you hug 3 people and you all had a warm hug, you can tell which one came from the heart. If you hug 3 people, warm hugs, you can tell which of the hugs came from the heart. And which one was just the...
That's true.
So if you have a family where you can talk about the truth, not your truth, but the truth, and then address it, that would help too. That would help because
So I'm guessing you had like a support system.
Oh yes.
I'm my support system. Like
He's
For
a
me-
one-man squad, and
For
but
me,
well.
nothing happens that I take outside.
Yes, he doesn't like us.
Even to my immediate siblings.
Yes, that's
My,
true.
my siblings, if you have an issue, deal with it. If you feel you have to discuss it with me, when you discuss it with me and we talk about it now, we are let's say we are 5 here, and then you talk to me about an issue. That's where it dies.
But during our time,
She
your
doesn't
siblings
hear.
were like your support system because you were talking to them a lot.
And but what we're talking
Even though you
what,
didn't know that I knew that you were talking
what I was
to
talking
them.
to them about was a different thing entirely. Not the full picture. So if you
Yeah.
and I discuss something,
Yeah, that's
I won't tell her, you won't tell her.
That's true.
That's the way we bond. That it's our own discussion.
But
If it concerns her, hold on. If it concerns her, then we'll bring her into the picture.
Okay.
But if it's just you and I discussing, that's where we discuss it and that's where we kill it. So that's my style. And then it works for me. It may not work for somebody else.
Yeah.
But we had also become family friends with Femi and Yetunde. So at the time this was happening, they were like the people I was always
Yeah,
going to because they were married and they were young,
Yes.
newly married like us. Like that night when all that was happening was their house around, and I'm like, this is what I have done in case tomorrow you hear that this marriage. So I could talk to them until date. I never heard it anywhere else until I went public within myself.
So now
they,
she goes to
they
them
just
and
said,
talks.
go back, Oh, they were like, oh, they were really concerned. Should we go with you to plead with him? I said, no, he doesn't even like that one. So don't even bother. But it was like I went to report to myself and I'm like, don't worry. But I just needed to offload. So I had
Yeah, because it's very important to
I had
have
that
a
support system.
place, a safe place
Yeah.
to offload.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had
I'm
them.
careful of where I offload.
It's Mr.
That's why I said safe place.
I'm very careful. Very careful.
It was
Because
nice
when
having
you offload, it's like the
you.
internet. The
Yeah.
internet doesn't forget.
Doesn't forget. No, not on the internet. But say.
Now, so when you offload, it's like the internet.
Okay.
The internet never forgets.
Okay. I get what
So-
you mean.
But I also understand what he's saying because most of these things you're hearing now came out first in my book. His siblings don't know most of it because he can just tell them, oh, Tiwa now, okay, that's what they call. We're not good, but he won't tell them why we are not good. So
What happened.
so I understand. He's always saying, let it stay here. Let's sort it out until.
Which is a good one.
Because I remember he asked me a question recently asking that question that did I ever see this marriage ever ending? And I was like, yeah, if it's not working. I was like, wow. I thought it was together forever. I'm like, okay, well, I'll think about it. so you can see that I'm the shege in his life, but he can't do without me.
That's how God works. He needs to bring some excitement, Thank you
Thank you so
so
much for
much,
having us.
so much for being here on the show. Like I'm so grateful. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for giving your candid opinion on the matter. Thank you for just laying it bare. Like that. It's not everybody that will do that, especially for. He's
For what
a
an
very
opposite.
yes, very very
He's not used to it.
a very private person coming out here to just let it out like this. I don't take it for granted. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And I believe people out there are going to be blessed by this. And I pray, because that's my prayer, is that this would help to heal trauma in homes,
Yeah, that's the
in
overall-
marriages. That's the overall
goal of
yeah.
why we share our stories.
Yes. So please, I'd like to say thank you once again, and please, we have this culture of giving a little token. Just thank you so much for.
Thank you. No, it's,
Okay.
I think
That's
it's-
yours.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so let me
you.
present it to you. He has a name. Oh, he has a name on it. Look at it.
And this is for you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for being on the show today. We appreciate you.
Mm.
I'll also want to say thank you, viewers, for being here. Thank you for sticking it out with us this evening. Thank you very much for. Okay,
Oh my
there's
God.
nothing in it.
Don't mind us. For us, there's something in it.
Okay.
So my husband has a very good analogy about mugs. He said when you give people mugs, you're already giving them water.
Oh.
And water is life.
Wow.
So this means a lot to us.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
He's a very wise man. Oh.
Yes, he is.
Wisdom.
From all the
wisdom.
analogies. Even me, I need to learn some. I need to learn. Oh, tripping. Seriously, every word comes with words of wisdom, and that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. So thank you for being on the show with us. Till we meet again, like I said, we'll be bringing you back to back. Different guests on the show, talking about marriage, talking about relationships, talking about things that are trending and prevalent in our society today. And I hope that you're learning a thing or two from everything that's been shared on the show. Thank you so much for always being there for us. Thank you so much, Video Media, for always being there. I'm talking about my sponsors now. Thank you for always being the guy behind the camera. And I've told you one of these days, you will be the one sitting here, Bolu. Yes, because I know you have. Yes. I know you have something to say. Yeah. Thank you, Moji. Thank you so much for my beautiful outfit. Thank you for my hair, braids by Teddy. I'm so grateful. Thank you, everybody. Techly, for this beautiful place. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so, so, so much. Till we meet again. This is me saying, ciao. Bye.